Hello and welcome to our pre-arrival webinar. I'm just going to allow for a minute or two for our attendees to join us and we'll get started shortly. Hello and welcome to today's pre-arrival webinar for undergraduate international students about student life and how to get involved on campus at UC San Diego. We are so excited that you're here and we hope you find this to be a helpful resource for you as you start your journey as a new Triton. Before we begin, I just want to bring to your awareness that this session is being recorded, and you can find this webinar along with other pre-arrival webinars at iwebinars.ucsd.edu. My name is Grace Fuller, and I'm the Manager of Student Experience and Engagement at the International Students and Programs Office, otherwise known as ISPO. I am joined by my colleagues May Thatch, the International Peer Coach Program Coordinator, as well as my other colleague, Gabriella Hoffman, the Assistant Director of Student Experience and Engagement at ISPO. Today, we'll be going over the different programs we offer to students just like you throughout the year. Here is a quick overview of what we'll be discussing today. So first, we're going to introduce the International Students and Programs Office, also known as ISPO. Then we'll highlight some signature ISPO programs and events. We'll move on to our globally engaged Tritons programs and events, as well as other ways to get involved on campus. Finally, we'll introduce our International Peer Coaching Program and have a student panel at the very end, as well as allow time for a live Q&A. Before we get going, I'll briefly go over the Zoom control panel you all have. If you would like to submit a question, you may send it through the Q&A button on your control panel, and it will be sent privately to the presenters and the panelists. All presenters will stay online for about 15 to 20 minutes after the webinar completion to answer your questions. If we see certain common questions come up, we'll read these out loud so that everyone can benefit from the answers, but we will not identify anyone who has asked a specific question by name. Now for a little bit of information about the International Students and Programs Office, which is a part of the Department of Global Education here on campus. We are here to assist international students from the very start. We provide pre-arrival information and orientation for new international students, as well as advising services for you and your family throughout the year. You can come to us if you have any questions regarding your international student visa and status. In addition, we offer a variety of cross-cultural programs and activities for all students at UC San Diego, a couple of which I'll go over in the next few slides. We offer drop-in and scheduled Zoom advising appointments, so please feel free to drop in and say hi, whether it be through Zoom advising or attending one of our programs. Next, we are going to go over some virtual engagement opportunities. We are excited to share with you that almost all of our programs are now offered in a virtual format so that you can participate as an international student here at UC San Diego, no matter where in the world you may be. One resource I want to highlight right off the bat is our Globally Engaged Tritons calendar, and you can access this calendar at ievents.ucsd.edu. Our Globally Engaged Tritons calendar is a live interactive calendar that highlights all events involving global engagement here at UC San Diego. All of the events listed on this calendar are virtual events, and now we'll go through them one by one so you can get a better idea of which ones you may be interested in. And with that, I'll hand it off to my colleague, Gabriella Hoffman.
Great, thank you, Grace. Hi, hello, everybody. As Grace mentioned, we're going to go over these programs one by one. And the first one I wanted to highlight is our coffee hours at ISPO. So coffee hours at ISPO is a time for the international community at UC San Diego to gather, check in, and build community. We've transitioned to having the coffee hour at ISPO virtually and have discussed a number of different topics of interest, such as the Return to Learn program, summer session, and more. We hope you'll bring your favorite mug and cozy up to the screen on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Whether it be your morning coffee or evening tea, we look forward to seeing you there.
Our next program is our Intercultural Social Hour. At Intercultural Social Hour, you can share your international interests and experiences while making friends in a relaxing and fun environment. We hope you'll join from wherever you are so that we can play across time zones. And our next Intercultural Social Hour is actually Wednesday, June 3rd from 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Our next program is one of ISPO's longest running programs called the English in Action Conversation Program, which matches international students, scholars, and spouses with volunteer conversation leaders to help our international students and visitors with conversational English language skills, simultaneously helping them to acquire a better understanding of American culture and to acclimate more quickly to their new environment. You can learn more about English in Action by going to eia.ucsd.edu.
Another language program that you might be interested in is Language Conversation Tables. Language Conversation Tables is a program that provides students enrolled at UC San Diego with the opportunity to practice language skills and broaden their cultural understanding. You can participate in Language Conversation Tables either as an LCT host if you are fluent in the language, or as an LCT participant if you would like to practice a language. This quarter session, featuring Farsi, French, Irish, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, Portuguese, Spanish, and Thai, are taking place virtually. You can pre-register or email any questions you have to ihouseprograms@ucsd.edu.
Another long-running program within global education, one of our most popular programs, cross-cultural programs, is the Friday Cafe. So the Friday Cafe, which global education hosts each year, and every Friday, I should say, throughout the quarter, as Grace mentioned, is going virtual as well. And this has gone virtual at the beginning of spring term. This is an opportunity to meet other students, staff, and faculty from all over the world each Friday and discuss a different featured country each week. We encourage you to drop by and learn and celebrate the various vibrant cultures here at UC San Diego in this friendly and welcoming environment.
The next program is Outreach Trivia Night. Outreach Trivia Night is a trivia night that features 6 categories each week. And every week, one category will highlight something about California, one category will highlight another state, one category will highlight another country, and the other 3 categories will be miscellaneous. There is free entry to all UC San Diego students and prizes for the winning team. You can either Zoom in with friends or come by yourself to join the team.
Another program hosted by International House, or iHouse as it's known, is a foreign film series. So this is being hosted every Thursday night via Zoom to watch different movies from various different countries around the world. There's an open forum after each film, which allows you to share your impressions and talk with other students about the film as well. More information is at the link here on your page.
ISPO Chats was actually created in response to COVID-19 and the impact it's having on our students. We understand that the current COVID-19 situation affects international students in unique ways and want to ensure that your concerns are heard and addressed. We know that the situation is evolving rapidly, and we hope that either via the Google form or this opportunity of weekly office hours allows us to advocate on students' behalf, identify solutions in a timely manner, be more proactive, and improve communication with our international student community. Incoming as well as continuing students are welcome, so feel free to drop by Fridays, 8 to 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
We take mental health and wellness very seriously here at UC San Diego. And COVID-19 has placed a mental strain on all of us, but also impacts international students in significant and unique ways. Thus, Counseling and Psychological Services, otherwise known as CAPS here on campus, in collaboration with ISPO, created Alone Together as a means to offer an emotional support forum specifically for international students at UC San Diego. You can learn more about this program at the link listed on the slide here above.
So one program we definitely want to highlight and encourage incoming students to participate in is our Global Ambassador Program. The Global Ambassador Program, commonly referred to as GAP, is a peer mentoring program that matches incoming international and out-of-state students with current UC San Diego students to communicate virtually all summer and help with their transition to UC San Diego. GAP mentees can choose how they are matched with their mentor, whether it be based on the same home country or the same major or the same college, etc. And students shared that this program was one of their most helpful experiences in their transition to UC San Diego. So we encourage you to apply to be a mentee today. Applications close Friday, June 19th, and you can apply via the link listed on the slide.
Next, I want to highlight the Global Hub. So the Global Hub is your one-stop shop for how to stay connected in an interconnected world. It provides a plethora of opportunities to engage virtually with Tritons at UC San Diego and around the globe. So many of the programs that we've been discussing here this morning are hosted on this site. So it's a really easy to remember URL, globalhub.ucsd.edu. One page brings you to a whole menu of different opportunities, different programs to engage with students all over campus in many different ways. So to learn more, again, go to globalhub.ucsd.edu.
So far, all of the events that we've highlighted today typically tend to have a global focus or a global emphasis. But we also want to highlight the Virtual Student Union. So what we've covered is just a sampling of everything available to you as a student at UC San Diego. But for a full list of up-to-date and virtual events going on all over campus, virtually, you can check out the Virtual Student Union at virtualstudentunion.ucsd.edu. And again, this includes events from almost every department on campus and different ways to engage with your Triton community.
As Grace mentioned, as you can imagine, in addition to all of the amazing globally engaged Tritons programs that we've talked about that are happening throughout the year, there are tons of other ways to get involved on and off campus. In fact, it may feel a little overwhelming at first, so we recommend you take a little time to get familiar with what's available to you before you get here. There are hundreds of student organizations at UC San Diego, and it's a great way to get involved. You can find out a lot of information about these organizations by going to studentorg.ucsd.edu and read up all about them. There are honestly student organizations for every type of interest on campus, whether it's social, cultural, academic, service, political, you name it. And if you can't find one that suits your interests, you can start one yourself. Take a look at their website and browse to see what's of interest to you.
And with that, I'm actually going to hand it over to my colleague, May Thatch, to introduce and talk about the International Peer Coaching Program.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, wherever you are. So my name is May Thatch, and I'm the International Peer Coaching Program Coordinator. Our International Peer Coaching Program started last year, so we're a brand new service that's offered to our incoming first-year international students, so most if not all of you here. Our program, the basis of it is we have about 6 international peer coaches who are mentors, who are international students themselves at one point in time. You are matched based on the college that you're coming in from. So ERC, Six College, Roosevelt, everything like that. And then from there, the peer coach will get in contact with you and they will have weekly outreach with their students. And then we offer services such as one-on-one peer coaching. So you will set up appointments, especially even now through virtual space. We have our peer coaches do one-on-one appointments with their students through Zoom. And we offer academic support to our students, information, skill development, events that are geared towards our cohort of first-year international students. Basically, we are the continuation of the GAP mentorship program that happens over the summer. We'll be supporting that as well. But then once the fall quarter starts, we'll do that transition where from the mentor that you've met and worked with over the summer, you would then be transitioned into our program where you're with your peer coach for the whole entire academic year. So we have programming that correlates with your transition into college life. So first quarter, talking about topics that are geared towards more of your academics, things that will get you started and giving you information on resources that you can use to be more successful on campus. And then winter quarter, we talk a little bit more about other resources, but have you start kind of thinking about what you want to do in the spring, maybe if you had any questions about classes, anything like that, kind of being a one-stop resource center for international students. So then our peer coaches are trained in all the different resources that are available for students. So they're able to navigate that and help you find what you are looking for. Or sometimes just through coaching, they're there to kind of listen to you. And if you had any questions, if you had any concerns that you didn't really know how to navigate something, they can be there for you. And then usually we've seen that in the spring quarters, a lot of our mentees in the program are looking at job opportunities or volunteering opportunities. So our peer coaches have put on events that are geared more towards career-orientated events, and they also can even offer like mock interview sessions and things like that with students. But ultimately, for us, for our program, it's geared towards supporting our first-year international students. We want you to be successful on campus, and so this is kind of like your personalized resource and service that are like the whole program is geared towards your success. And so today we have 3 of our peer coaches on our student panel. So from here now, I'll ask them a few questions, and then at the end, if you had any other personal questions you want to ask, feel free to do so. And so first, I will have each of them introduce themselves, and we'll start with Vanessa, and then Yushi, and then we'll end with Wanjun.
Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa Lei. I'm from Saigon, Vietnam, and my college is ERC or Roosevelt. I'm a third year international studies with a focus on sociology major. And yeah, I am happy to be here and answer all of your questions.
Hello everybody, my name is Ayushi. I'm currently in Mexico City, but I'm originally from India. My college is John Muir College, obviously the best college. And my major is clinical psychology. I recently declared a minor in international business.
Hi everyone, my name is Wenjun and I'm from Shandong, China, and I'm currently just here in San Diego, staying at my home. I'm a 4th year chemical engineering, double majoring economics student, and I'm graduating this June. And if anyone has any questions regarding finding internships, because I am trying to find internships right now, and just please direct it to me, and I'm very happy to answer all of your questions.
Hi, thank you everyone. So our first question is, have you found a community here at UC San Diego? If so, what does your community look like? And then in addition, how long did it take you to find your community? And just what are some of these communities that you found? You can each just go whichever order.
I guess I can start. So yeah, definitely I have found a community here at UC San Diego. I feel very welcome, and I really miss school right now since everything is online. My community, looks, because I joined student council, and then I'm also in a lot of internships, so I make a lot of friends from there. And also I participate in studying abroad in South Africa and Zambia. So I made really, really good friends, and some of my best friends from that trip. So definitely I have found my community, and I love them to death. How long did it take me to find? It's definitely hard at first. A international student, first year international student. I came to the United States with basically no one, and it took me, I guess, to winter quarter, so like a couple months into my first year, that I worked up the courage to talk to people, which is extremely difficult for me. But after trial and errors, and everyone's very friendly, but after a while, I established my own friend group, and everything just started getting easier from there, I guess.
Yeah, I can. Oh, you want to go
yeah,
first?
please go for it, Yushi.
All right, I can add to what Vanessa just said. I think finding a community at UC San Diego took a while for me as well, but when I did find friends, find people that I was really happy to have them. So one of my communities would be the international community here at ISPO, working with being a peer coach. Another one of my communities would be my friends from first year. My 2 roommates are now my best friends, and I'm very lucky in that sense to have that. But also joining clubs, putting myself out there, which was probably the hardest part, helped me find some of my closest community members, my closest friends.
Yeah, I guess aside from all the friendship personally that I made throughout the 4-year college experience, some of the most important communities that I kind of found myself belonging to, but the first, I guess, is the research community here at UC San Diego, because personally, as a chemical engineering student, it's really important to get involved in different sorts of research on campus. And I guess I started as a research assistant in the lab, in a chemistry lab actually, from my first year. And really starting from there, I get to know people from the, I guess, UCSD Academic Enrichment Office, where they have different programs about summer research conferences or research grants and scholarships that you can apply for. And from there, not only did I get, I guess, financial support, but also I made a lot of friends who are basically doing the same thing as I am. And we really get to share a common interest. And I guess it's a very warm community to be in. Another community that I'm really interested in was this thing called Chinese Engineering Society, which is among some of the very vivid student organizations on campus. And it doesn't really matter if you're Chinese, if you're other international students, you can always find your own international communities on campus that's felt with people who have the same interest, and sometimes it's the same cultural background that you can talk to.
Thank you, everyone. So next question. So coming to UCSD, what was your biggest fear or anxiety about the university? And did it come true? And if so, what resources helped you overcome these obstacles?
I can answer that. For me, it was pretty much related to the first question, finding a community, finding a place where I can explore my different passions and things. But I think when I did arrive to UCSD, all of that was expelled just because there's so many resources. There's the new virtual student union website. We had an events insider page my first year. Everything that kind of pointed me towards different things that are happening around campus. And the only thing I had to do was go to it, which required a lot of effort, but it was worth it in the end.
I can also add on to that. So I guess everyone know that UC San Diego has this reputation of UC socially dead, which is definitely one of my fear coming in, because I want to make friends, but to my experience, that is definitely, the stereotype is definitely not true at all. As UC San Diego is very sociable. Again, I find a lot of friends in the resource centers that I go to, like the Women Resource Center or the Cross-Cultural Resource Center. I try to educate myself on social justice spaces through those resource centers. So yeah, definitely people are very welcoming, and it's a holistic educational and social experience for me in UC San Diego.
Yeah, I guess for a lot of us, the experience is kind of similar. I guess as coming in as a first year student, you always get to basically, it's probably going to be, actually personally, it's one of the first times in my life that I have to stay away from my family and get to live on campus and talk to a bunch of people whom I don't really know previously, and I don't basically speak even the same language. So I guess it was really challenging for me to get used to the environment on campus with different people with different cultural backgrounds and ethnicities, that kind of stuff. But I guess I quickly got used to it by engaging in different work environments and professional socializing environments on campus. Like I said, some of the communities I joined and some of the people who I talked with whom I shared the same common language. And other than that, I feel like as long as you kind of adjust yourself within a mindset that it's okay that I talk to those people, it's always okay for me to reach out for help, I guess you will be totally fine.
Thank you. And then now on to academics. So this past quarter, everything has transitioned to online. So what has the transition to online courses been like for you? And is there any support for remote learning on campus?
Yeah, I can start with that question. I feel like one of the most important differences between online classes and I guess like in-class real-time classes is that the feeling of engagement definitely it's like physically the feeling of engagement is definitely kind of decreased a little bit once you're kind of forced involved in online classes. But I guess one of the advantages of online classes is that all the classes are 100% recorded. So what you can always do is to go back and check what you learned throughout that class. And even though you didn't really catch it, personally, if you didn't catch it for the first time, especially for some of the more challenging classes, sometimes listening to the lectures for one time is probably not enough. You can always go back and check it. And I guess, of course, by definition, one of the greatest resources is the recordings of the lectures themselves. So I would highly recommend if you want to thrive in this online learning experience, what you definitely want to do is to not only attend lectures on time, but in case you have any questions or you feel like you left out any kind of unknown parts of the class, just always go back and listen to the lectures again, and that will totally help you a lot.
Yeah, and then adding to that, since we're all in different time zones, it's very helpful when lectures are recorded, because even if you can't make it to them live synchronously, you can make it to them asynchronously. And then adding on to that further, what I've really found helpful is office hours. So professors and teaching assistants of those classes host office hours, which are an hour or two where they're there for you to focus on the class that you may or may not understand. And I was very scared to go to office hours in person because I was intimidated, I was worried, but I think everything going online is kind of easier to go to office hours since it takes away the pressure of being there in person and having to hold a conversation.
Yeah, I totally second what Ayushi said. I think I learned the importance of office hour a little too late. So I really wish that as a first year, I would have gone to office hours more often. And usually professors are very accommodating and very friendly. So if I need any extension, I just reach out to them, and most of the time they will give it to me because they're very understanding because of all this pandemic going on. So don't be shy to reach out to your professors.
Thank you, everyone. And then our last few set of questions is, how is UC San Diego during COVID-19? And how has your social engagement transitioned online? And what ways have you continued to engage with the campus virtually?
Yeah, I guess I can start with that too. Very interestingly, because I'm working in a research lab, our research lab is always doing research. It's also doing research on COVID-19, where we actually have a lot of patient samples, blood samples that we are waiting to be processed. And I guess, especially as an undergraduate student and as researchers, we are really trying to understand the basis of COVID-19. And I guess as research in physiology, we're really trying to understand some of the ways to mitigate the crisis and make this somehow figure out ways to solve this whole COVID-19 problem around the world. And I guess that kind of speaks to all the UC San Diego community, is that we're really trying our hard, because UCSD it's a very research-oriented school. And I guess for what we do is really not just as some of the people who are trying to for lack of a better word, survive under this crisis, but we're also thinking about how to thrive under the crisis, as in like we want to be actively engaged in helping with the crisis and trying to mitigate that. I guess what's other than that, it's really COVID-19 has really changed our lives drastically. And like I said, all the online resources, I guess in UCSD is never it's never more convenient than ever. And I feel like it's really a problem for you to get more actively engaged in different activities.
Yeah, I can kind of add on to that as well. I also work at a research lab at the Veterans Hospital across the street from UCSD. And since I'm a psych major, we do research on PTSD and treatment for that. But given COVID-19, people can't physically come in to get treatment. So we've kind of been working with the idea of online at-home treatment and how that affects symptoms and prognosis, et cetera, et cetera. But then in my personal life with clubs and things, what I've really found that helped the transition, the social engagement transition online, has been having those weekly meetings that we would have as clubs, but having them online. And instead of spending so much time talking about academics on Zoom, we like to spend more time playing games on Zoom, maybe having a Netflix party, still interacting, but just doing everything online. And I think UCSD has really been amazing at that.
Yeah, I can also answer more about the social engagement transition question. Definitely, I would have to put more effort into staying connected to campus, staying connected to my friends. Like my friends and I text more now because we can't see each other in person. We also schedule, FaceTime times with each other. And I also follow a lot of UCSD orgs and resources and student councils on social media. So that's one way I can stay updated with a lot of updates going on because of COVID.
All right, thank you, everyone. So we have some time left, and we had a few questions come in. So we'll just answer them live as we think that it'll apply to mostly everyone. So feel free to just answer the question if you want to contribute. We don't have to have all three of you answer if it's not something that you've done before. And then for the participants, feel free to just continue asking the questions as they come in, and we'll try to answer them live for you. So the first one is regarding So the first one is regarding wanting to be a part of student councils. So what can they do as an international student to be as involved as possible?
Yes. So the student council question, I am in student council of ERC. We call it CERC. I'm serving as a sustainability advocate. And it's really easy actually to get involved there. Meetings are all open to the public. So right now we have Zoom link open for everyone to access. And also the application process rolls out fall and spring cycle. So 2 cycles that you can apply for different positions. So if you're interested, definitely follow them on social media and just be on the lookout for enrollment cycles.
Okay, and then this next one is regarding internships. So it asks, do first-year international students get internships? And if so, is now the appropriate time to apply for winter or spring internships?
Yeah, I can start with that. I think it really depends on what major that you are. I guess in terms of my knowledge, a lot of computer science students tend to start to find internships starting from fall. So I guess it's never too early to try to land in the internship. And a lot of the good companies actually started to hire people as interns starting from the summer. So if you really want to get like a head start, early engagement in internships, you really should start early. And I guess now it's never a bad time for you to kind of polish your skills, like either regarding your major or if you want to find some other jobs regarding some specific skills that you have. And I guess some of the first internships to apply for will start from the summer that will last all the way until like winter quarter. So I guess definitely you should start from there.
Yeah, and then to add to Wanjin's thing, I would say check out Handshake and Real Portal if you're looking for internships and research opportunities.
But to me personally, I would think that I wouldn't start internship right away in my first year, because in your first year as an international student, it's already very stressful with classes and like with all the changes happening around you, and especially with COVID. I wouldn't think it would be the best time to look for internships rather than get used to the new school and new environment. So I actually started my looking for an internship and got one fall quarter of my second year. So I applied spring quarter of my first year to get into the fall quarter of the next school year. And also I would like to answer, like, because it links to this question, as international students, do you struggle to find internship because many require US citizenship? Definitely that is a struggle. I still struggle to run in that struggle from time to time. A lot of internships require US citizenships, but don't let that discourage you, because most on-campus internships don't require US citizenship, so you could start from there first.
Yeah, I guess I can kind of add on to that. It really depends on what kind of internship you're looking for. For example, for chemical engineering majors, something regarding like nuclear chemistry or anything regarding like nuclear reactions, it's probably something that some internships that only, I guess, US citizens get a chance to get involved in. And I guess in terms of biology, for some areas in oncology research, or I guess cancer treating research, is only, I guess, available for US citizens. But other than that, I feel like especially in computer science, in data science, in bioengineering, in other fields that I'm known of, there's not much requirements going on in terms of citizenship. But I guess one of the main thing that the citizenship kind of reflects is your English proficiency. So I guess in order to land in a decent internship, what's really important is that you're able to communicate your ideas without a problem. And that way, I guess regardless of your skills, people are able to understand you better. So I guess trying to polish your skills on your communication is definitely more than important at this point.
Thank you, everyone. So these next two questions, I know they've been answered virtually, but I wanted to ask them for everyone to hear. So one is, being a STEM major, how are lab classes conducted virtually? And then secondly, how are online lessons? Are they pre-recorded or are they live?
Yeah, I guess I was actually answering those questions by typing earlier. So I guess starting from the first question, all of the lectures at this point should be pre-recorded, but they also have a live sessions. So if your time zone doesn't really match, if you you just don't really feel like going to live lectures, you can always have the option to just wait for the recordings to go up and watch the recordings. And some of the benefits of watching the recordings that you can always usually you will see if there's any questions or problems the lecture is posted on the discussion board. You get to read that first before you actually watch the lecture, and you can always watch it in 1.5 times speed if that's what you're into. Some people say it saves you a bit of time, but personally I feel like it's better to watch the lectures in 1 time speed, but it's really a personal preference. And in terms of lab classes, I think most of the lab classes that I know of right now, because I think I'm taking one senior lab class right now, that it's required that you actually watch the experiments instead of doing it, because for a lot of experiments that require going to the lab, there's really not much of a chance for you to actually do it yourself. But I guess instructors for the class will do it for you, and the whole process will be recorded, and all of the data sheets, like in Excel, either in Excel forms or CSVs, will get sent it to you, or I guess posted on Canvas, which is this online portal that every student get access to. And I guess in order to write a lab report later, that's kind of counts as part of your grade. You just need to go online and watch all of those experiments and download all the data and do all the analysis required. And that should be the way how experiment classes are conducted right now at this point.
Thank you. Did anyone else have anything to add? No? Okay, so these next few questions are regarding options for students to start class in person or more immigration related. So I'll have my colleague Gabi answer these questions for the students. So the first is coming to the fall quarter online for international students? Then what are their current options to start class in person this fall as an international student?
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, May. Yeah, we're getting a few questions about this from our incoming students. Totally understandable. You want to be prepared for fall quarter. The university is delivering a hybrid model for fall 2020, meaning some courses are going to be in person, some are going to be fully remote, and there are going to be some hybrid courses as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post in the chat box here so everyone can access the link. The registrar's office frequently asks questions page about enrollment and what it's going to look like and how to navigate the new enrollment system for fall 2020. So you can see here, let me just go ahead and send it to everybody. This will give you a basic overview of what enrollment will look like. The registrar is adding more questions and answers to this section as the summer progresses, but do know that there are different options available. And to the question specifically about I20 documents, one question was, they want to know if we have the option with our I20 documents to take classes remotely or in person. So if you're issued an I20 document with a start date for fall, you can take classes online or in person. We know obviously there are a lot of factors that will determine whether you can come physically to the United States this fall. Obviously visa appointment availability, travel, and so forth. Either way, all students will be receiving an I-20 for the fall. And if you are not able to come to the United States this fall, you can still start your classes remotely from your home country full-time. And obviously, if you can make it to the States, fantastic. If you're able to enroll in those in-person courses as well, you can obviously use that I-20 to enter the United States. So either way, you can begin your classes on time. More information will be coming out throughout the next couple of months as we learn more about enrollment and what fall will look like. But again, we recommend taking a look at the link I provided above about enrollment, what that will look like.
Thank you. So we had a question, maybe it's more like a personal question, since I know visa appointments can be different based on your country, but the student asked, how was your visa appointment experience like? And you can let the students know from which country you did your visa appointment. But just as a precursor, every country might look different, so don't go into your visa appointment expecting the exact situation.
Yeah, I can start with that. I got my visa appointment in Mexico City because that's where I was living at the time. And I remember it being very intimidating. We had to leave behind all our electronic devices and we had to stand in this line for around 2 hours. And then once it was my turn, it was actually very simple. They asked for my name, the college I'm going to, a couple of questions to ensure that I'm going to this college and why I'm going. And after that, it was pretty simple. I waited a couple of weeks and it went from there.
Yeah, I have a similar experience to that. It's funny because it's so universal. So I got my visa in Vietnam, and yeah, at first really intimidating process. Like there were security guards everywhere, and I had to leave all my belongings in the locker in front. But the questions itself are very simple. They ask, "What am I studying? What's my major, etc." So it's very chill, but definitely going into it, it's very intimidating. And also, I would recommend making an appointment like a month or two prior to your departure to the US so that you could have time to prepare for the interview.
Yeah, I guess my experience was somewhat the same, but I guess it's slightly different because personally, I started from feeling very intimidated by the fact that I'm applying for a visa. What if rejected? And what if something happens? But I started by making appointments, but figured out the first appointment that was available to me is like 3 months or 2 months from now, or from the time where I made that appointment. And because the city where I went to get my visa, I think it was Beijing, China. So the office itself is relatively small compared to like other offices in China. We're usually kind of big where it hosts a lot of people, but there were just a lot of people in the line in that day. And I started feeling intimidated, but after I guess hours of waiting, I guess my patience kind of got worn off. And but yeah, when it comes to the real session, I guess the questions are super simple. They're just asking me like, why do you want to come to the States and what do you come to the state for? And that kind of questions. And I think the whole process lasts like no longer than 2 to 3 minutes for myself. I guess it's really not that hard.
All right, thank you so much. So then this one is just regarding advisors, and someone asked, as a STEM major interested in pre-med, where can they access their advisor? Which, if anyone can answer, just advising in general, that would be helpful.
I guess my one of my classmates, I guess right now he's my roommate, is also a STEM major looking for a career in looking for doing pre-med, and I guess he's already a fourth year, so I guess he's already like doing it. I guess that's actually a very great question because I feel like for a lot of people, pre-med is a slightly different. It's going to be a slightly different experience, college experience, that you get to take a lot of classes that's only required by this very specific track, and it's always really useful to find a mentor earlier on. And I guess one of the on-campus resources that's free for students is that you can always go to make an appointment with your college or with your department to talk about your pre-med interests. And there are advisors that are there in your college or your department that can help you. And usually they have like very informative sheets or class lists to tell you which classes to take. And you can also talk about like finer details about like, what if I didn't score high in that class? What if I want to do some other classes instead? And they'll usually be able to help you. But I guess aside from like on-campus resources, what a lot of people ended up doing is that they tend to find some off-campus pre-med advisors. And that kind of goes into finer details. And I feel like a lot of pre-med advisors can be introduced if you just either you search online, you find some people references, and you can always get help from there.
Yeah, I'm not pre-med myself, but 3 of my roommates are, and it's very intimidating to live with them. But I would recommend from their experience that to start your volunteer right now as well, so that you could get more hours by the time you apply for med school, and also get to know your professors, like genuinely get to know them, get to know their research, go to their office hours, either online or in person. And the last thing is, I think there are free MCAT classes on UCSD extension. So that may be a resource that you could also be interested in.
And just to add to that, I'm not pre-med either, but there's a lot of volunteering opportunities in UCSD, especially if you look into clubs that are going on. There's lots of pre-med clubs, and I'm sure if you join those, you can talk to the people who are already in a pre-med or going towards pre-med, and they can also help you.
And lastly, on this topic, if you see the link in the chat, vac.ucsd.edu, this is a service that's offered. It's the virtual advising center. So you can direct questions to your specific departments there. You can either meet with your advisor virtually or make either Zoom phone calls and things like that, or once you're on campus, you can meet with them in person. So the next few questions are a bit more relating to, again, the logistics of ISPO. So I'll have my colleague Gabi answer these as well. So the first one is transcripts. If your transcripts might get delayed because of COVID, what do you need to do, and would your admissions be rejected due to the delay? And then if you do not get your visas in time, would it be possible to arrive in the middle of the trimester?
Yeah, these are really good questions. To address the first question about transcripts, so undergraduate students, actually undergrad admissions, they know obviously with the limitations and the closures happening in different countries all over the world, that this is limiting students' abilities to get transcripts and certain test scores on time. So they're being flexible with transcript deadlines. Typically it is July 1st. But they are waiving that deadline and will allow you to keep your admission up through August 28th. So what I'm going to do, and I think this is going to be beneficial for the whole group, just in case you haven't referenced our site, ISPO has a specific website that has to do with coronavirus, its impact specifically on newly admitted international students. Just typing that into the chat box here for you to reference. So the top of that page goes into just what I was talking about, how undergrad admissions is being more flexible with these deadlines. So please just go ahead and submit whenever you can, whenever you're able to. It's really important you just stay in touch with admissions to let them know these are on their way, but obviously COVID-19 impacted closures are affecting this. And they can provide some flexibility. That page also goes over a lot of the questions that our students have about visas, starting remotely, campus tuition, fees for the quarter, and so forth. So I definitely recommend taking a look. And then the second question, so if we don't get our visas in time, would it be possible to arrive in the middle of the trimester? So this is something that's still being discussed. Typically, if a student doesn't get their visa in time by the start date that's listed on their I20, typically what we will do is that student should come in the following quarter rather than the middle of the quarter. And that really has to do with some challenges that might be presented with traveling with a document that has an earlier start date on it. We're waiting for a lot of guidance from the Student and Exchange Visitor Program. This entity gives us guidance for students on visas, travel, and everything. So we're hoping they're going to allow some more flexibility. You might be able to arrive a little bit later, but there are other factors to consider, such as housing on campus, for example. We don't know quite yet from housing if, for example, you have a housing contract, but you're not able to arrive until, let's say, October, November, whether that space will still be available or not. There are just a lot of different logistics to work out. So right now, we're advising students, if you haven't gotten your visa by the start of the quarter, it would be best for you to enter the following quarter because all of the different systems will be set up to support you on campus. It'll be easier to travel. But if this changes, we will definitely let students know. We'll post it here on our site that I referenced and send messaging out to students to let them know.
Thank you. So this, we have about 5 minutes left in the session. I didn't know how you wanted to wrap things up. If you had anything else further, Grace, or we can just keep answering questions for students.
We can answer the last couple questions, but we will end at 9:30. So in the next 5 minutes, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this one here is regarding transcripts. So right now, the students in the US, they have their Japanese high school transcript in hand. However, on the website, it says they cannot send it directly to my school, directly to UCSD. So, and their school cannot send transcript to our school directly. How can they qualify their high school transcript?
Yeah, so I would recommend in this case contacting undergraduate admissions to let them know about this scenario. They might be able to give you options on how to get that transcript to them in a different way if these are presenting challenges. So I would go to admissions.ucsd.edu. They have a contact form there where you can ask this question and they can assist you there.
And then this one is if I can finish all the courses by summer session 2 in 2021, can I find an internship or job during fall 2021 without attending any classes at UCSD?
I think that might have something to do with graduating early, if that's my understanding. So if you're graduating early, then I guess from my understanding, you're only allowed to stay and work in the States unless you have an OPT. I guess professional people can probably address more on that. But from my experience, I guess personally, I've seen a lot of people graduating in 3 years or less, and that should not be a problem as long as you can complete all your course requirements. And usually, from my understanding, if you want to graduate early, the course load is usually more challenging than what people would have. We want to graduate normally. So I guess it really depends on your personal schedule if you can have time to actually apply for internships while you're taking many classes. But if that's what you think that you're capable of taking on, then I guess by all means, please try to apply for internship early before you graduate. And yeah.
Also, just make sure everything works with visa-wise. Again, go to ISPO for that. They're very, very helpful.
Yeah, I was going to say that as you know, if you're finishing everything up by the end of summer, if all your coursework is complete, you would be eligible to apply for post-completion work authorization. As I mentioned, OPT, optional practical training. So definitely take a look at our website. If you go to iemployment.ucsd.edu, it outlines all of your options for post-completion work authorization, whether it's an internship or a job. Take a look there to see, and as the panelists mentioned as well, just be really aware of timeline too. Make sure you line things up, apply before you graduate, so everything is lined up when you finish.
Thank you, everyone. So as we said, our international peer coaching program is geared towards first-year international students. We will have applications coming out soon, probably over the summer, regarding how you would like to join our program. So you could be on the lookout for that. And of course, just another plug, if you're interested in having a mentor over the summer, to apply for the GAP Ambassador Mentorship Program.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited to have you. Congratulations on your admission to UC San Diego. Like I mentioned previously, this webinar will be recorded and you can access it via iwebinars.ucsd.edu, as well as other pre-arrival webinars we've covered in relation to housing, student health immunization requirements, and a myriad of other topics. So thank you so much, and we look forward to interacting with you all at our next date. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.